pass from Havili was magic. The shift on for Crotty. Boom, far down you go, Quackett Smith. Me, oh my, I have enjoyed that. Yes, boy.
Sit back, relax, put your belt on, enjoy the show.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Draft Rugby Show, the game where we talk about the game they play online in heaven. We've got a special guest this week.
I'm so glad that's the last time we have to do that.
I know, it definitely.
Yeah, you're definitely not getting better at the intros now, so I'll tell you that much, but that's good.
Mate, it's just
Practice.
work. I just go from gut feel. But yeah, we've got a big guest, Nick McArdle, this week, joined by the usuals. Harry, how you doing?
Yeah, very good, mate.
Your fantasy team, is it? Cargie, how you doing?
Oh, pretty good, mate. But Nick McArdle, he's a man who knows how to do an introduction, that's for sure.
He definitely does, mate. We need him on every week.
Am I right in thinking we all lost this week, by the way? Did we all lose?
Yeah, we all lost, but I'm still sitting in first.
That's
Harry,
true.
You're sitting outside the top four, sitting in fifth, and Cargie very, very close to be the bottom two playoff, the wooden spoon playoff where you deserve, mate.
Yeah, still six, mate. Just one behind Harry now. I'm actually the closest to Harry I've ever been this season, so it's looking up for me, really. But basically anything we have to say today is invalid since we all lost and clearly don't know fantasy for Super Rugby Trans Tasman.
We'll just listen to Nick, I think, for
That's
most of this pod. Yeah. But it's my 100th cap. I thought I'd throw that out there.
You said it last week, mate.
Oh, mate, he's trying it every week. He's like, it's my 100th. Yeah, right.
Crunch, boys, but we've crunched the numbers.
The boy who cries wolf, mate, it loses its value. You know what I mean?
We got the stats guy on it.
Off early. Yeah.
We got the stats guy on it. We've crunched the numbers. Today's my 100th.
Is that why you're wearing a beanie today as well? You're trying to be like a different person? You're like, it was Nelson's 100th last week. It's Beanie Nelson's this week. I don't know.
Mate, I don't know if you've realised, but winter's coming and it's pretty cold and I have no hair. So beanie is pretty regular for me at the moment. But look,
that's fair.
Let's jump straight into last week. We're not going to go into lots of details because we have a pretty juicy main course. I'll start us off with the Highlanders versus the Reds B team, the hungover Reds, whatever you want to call them. They did not turn up after last week. Lots of young rookies. They went down 40-19. Harry, do you want to talk to us about the Waratahs Hurricanes?
Yeah, Waratahs Hurricanes was one of the highest scoring Super Rugby games I can ever remember. It may be the highest scoring ever.
It isn't.
It's not? No.
I saw that.
112.64 to 48. The question from all the Waratahs coaches was, how do you score 48 points and still lose
you don't defend
by 20 odd? And it's pretty easy. You just do not tackle.
Yeah. And if you told the Waratahs at any other game throughout the season they was going to score 48 points on the weekend, mate, they would have had a heart attack. You know what I mean? They'd be like, this is the best news ever.
I think they scored the same amount of tries that they did in Super Rugby AU or something ridiculous like that.
I'm a firm believer it's because Hurricanes were playing touch rugby and knew they had the game very comfortably.
I think, look, the biggest summary of this game is the interview with Geordie Barrett afterwards where he was just talking it up as a cricket score. But
how excited he was about the SCG.
And how much he loved the SCG. He went out there, he said he did his pre-cricket batting ritual or whatever. It was just exploring all the other change rooms there. He loved it. He was actually there more for the cricket, I think.
It's not good to see him happy, though, because we want to see him sad because he lost to an Aussie team. But, Cargie, do you want to talk to us about the Crusaders Brumbies?
Yes, the Crusaders Brumbies. The two heavyweights over in Christchurch and, went down to the whistle. So, look, whilst spoilers, there was no Aussie team that won this week. This wasn't even the closest, but it was pretty bloody close. A kick on the death knell to draw the game. It wasn't for the win. And I think it's really silly. I don't know what you guys think, but Super Rugby Trans Tasman doesn't have extra time. So it's just going to leave us with draws. Don't know what that's about. But
I was pretty gutted when I heard that because I assumed we would kick it with how good our goal kicking had been all year.
That's it. So a tough one for Noah Alessio, but ripper game though. It was two teams with similar play styles just went at it. And look, I think the Brumbies led most of the attacking stats, but I think all the attacking stats except for run meters against the Crusaders. We all thought they were going to get blown off the park, but it was pretty good.
We talked about that with Nick McArdle. If you give us another spoiler, I'm going to cut you out of this podcast.
Okay, all right. Third warning. You cut me out. But it was a good one. I enjoyed seeing my moment ago. I enjoyed seeing Solomon Ikata back. Big beast.
That's your second warning. The next game is the Rebels. It was the Rebels versus the Blues. Someone here has written chess versus checkers, but I think boys against men, whatever you wanna call this. This was probably the most upsetting game as a Super Rugby AU fan. Look, the Reds, although that was disappointing, we knew that it was a pretty under-strength team, you know, bouncing back after a final. The Rebels, they just, you know, looked horrible. Looked horrible in this one. Really disappointing. I think they're going to need some big changes in future weeks just to look respectable, not to get a win. But
the team comes back next. Sorry, I'm spoilers again. The team.
Oh, that's it, mate. After the entree, you're done. I'm editing you out of this.
Yeah, we'll cut you out.
You're done.
I'll
be up all night, but it's worth it. You're done.
It'll be worth it. Zahn Sullivan, Cargie, you excited to see him. He looked pretty promising.
How good's his boot?
Yeah,
mate.
He's got a cannon.
Yeah.
He did. He knocked a penalty goal from 50 or something around 50.
About that.
Yeah, just under. But even his punting was huge.
But
Mate.
I'm suspecting we see Perifetta back. Spoiler. But Harry, you want to talk about the Force Chiefs, the closest game?
Western Force versus Chiefs, the game that we thought we won, but then Domingo Miotti decided he wouldn't let an Australian side win a game. 19-20, the Force played out of their skin again. I think exceeded everyone's expectations. The Chiefs looked a little flat, I think, on the back of the Crusaders' loss,
and then the travel,
and then a 20-hour travel or so to get over to Western Australia at the moment during COVID times. But they were off the mark, and the Force took advantage. They were excellent, and they put on continuous pressure and managed to get a yellow card to Anton Leonard-Brown and a couple of yellows to Luke Jacobson, which crashed my fantasy team. And despite some horrendous Stan Sport coverage on this one, I believe that Miotti scored a try late, kind of dove over from close. I did watch it, yeah, delayed, and then missed a kick 17 in from the touchline to lose the game by 1 point. Like, it wasn't a hard kick.
He went from the hero to the villain very quickly.
That rounds those games up. My one thing to take was the question here: did Thorne and the Reds management shoot themselves in the foot with this one? I touch on a lot of this a little bit later, so I won't go into too much depth, but they just left themselves without, you know, any strike power. Some were forced with injuries like Pataya, Paisami, but then to have no Tate McDermott, put the likes of Tupou, Lukan Zalakaioloto, Fraser McWright on the bench. They left themselves without much strike power through that game, and they just couldn't leave their 22, and they just kicked the ball infield, kicked it poorly. And you just don't want to be kicking the ball, you know, open play to any Kiwi team. The Highlanders love that as well, and I think they really made them pay. They just couldn't get out of their 22. But there's a big game, and I reckon they've got an eye on it for this weekend, and that explains a little bit. Plus, you know, the poor setup of having Super Rugby Trans Tasman 1 week after the grand finals.
That's it. It's exciting. The fortress in Suncorp. Can they bring it up? The only last thing I wanted to say, my favourite moment from the weekend was Marika Korobides' hit on Nepo Laulala. That was the only good thing to come out of that game for the Rebels. But if you haven't seen it, I'm sure it's on some highlights somewhere. It was enormous.
Do you watch what's the rugby show?
Rugby Heaven?
Rugby Heaven. He's number one, mate.
Do you mean the show with our guest on it?
I think it was Korobidi Cracker, was it? He put the hit on, you know, the Morgan Turner's chart of the big hits. He's number one.
They were taking the mickey by moving a few people up above that massive US hit.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
But, sorry. I haven't seen Rugby Heaven this week yet. It got number one, did it?
You got number one.
Oh, how good. So appropriate. Yeah. I mean, Laulala's probably twice his size. Yeah. And the best part of it for Mike Nelson and I love this was Laulala getting up and paying him credit where it was due, giving him the tap on the head like, yeah, well done, mate. That was good.
Good hit. Not bad, yeah. Good hit. Very much a leaguey hit, to be fair. A little bit of a wrap in the arm, but when they're bouncing so far, you can't wrap that arm.
Yeah. No, Sonny Bill loved it as well in commentary. He was a big fan.
Nels, your favourite moment?
I went through it.
Did you?
I was talking about my discussion with the Reds management.
And Nels, the one good thing about Nels leading this pod is he's we're getting on with it. I like that. It's
that's it, Harry.
And without that,
my favourite moment was that I'm sure both of your tips for how many wins we're going to get in this competition are already wrong. Surely, can we still get there if we win every game from now? For what you guys said. Look, you guys went way too high with your tips for the.
I said 3 or 4 for Reds and Brumbies, and that's probably pushing it. But the
what did you end up on, Nels? Like 10 or something? Or 8?
Yeah, I said 3 or 4 from each of them.
Yeah.
No, I don't think I did 10. I think I did 9. No, I think I did 8.
Harry, at the risk of sounding like Nelson, I did say 6. No, I said 7. I said 7, but before the weekend started, I said I reckon I've gone too big here. I'd like to reduce it to 4.
Yeah, I think definitely.
But
I think we're definitely gone too big. But look, the Reds can still get, say, 3 wins. Brumbies can still get 4 wins, and the Force could cause an upset. You know, I think we can still remain pretty positive. I don't think it's going to come from the Rebels, which none of us expected, and it's very unlikely to come from the Tars unless they can defend.
We'll get into the previews soon, but while we're on this topic, Cargie, how many wins for the Aussie teams this week?
Coming up this week?
Yep. You got the Hurricanes Rebels. You got the Force versus the Highlanders. You got the Blues versus the Waratahs.
Oh.
You got the Chiefs versus the Brumbies, and the Reds versus the Crusaders.
Why am I scared, tempted to say 2 for some reason? I don't know what's going on. I think I'm going to say 1. Either the Reds or the Brumbies will get a win this week.
Okay, nice. No forced win. No.
Sorry, mate. No.
Okay, too easy. And the fantasy man of the round.
Are we having a pick?
No, we've already talked about it in the main course, I reckon.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
So are you perhaps giving it away that we might have recorded the main course before?
This is the last thing that Cargie is doing before I cut him from the rest of the pod.
Nice.
We won't let him chat for the rest.
That's good. You've made that really smooth. Sorry, what do I have to do? Fantasy man of the round next week.
Well, I'll do about it, mate. We don't need you anymore. Look, the fantasy man of the match was Angus Bell, who got 102 points. And I think he played 71 minutes or something along those lines. So his points per minute was 1.44, which is absolutely ridiculous.
Isn't that ridiculous that he outscored HJH, who scored 2 tries?
Yeah, Harry threw his arms up when I said I think the top scorer this week was Angus Bell, and he was like, "What? Did he even score a try? That's not right."
He did score one, yeah. But look, he scored a try, had 17 runs. That seems high, but that's what the stats are telling us. 17
Mate,
runs.
he is the team. I'm pretty sure if we go back and look at the notes from last week, we said Angus Bell is the team.
It's him and Gordon, and you could probably say HJH. You know, Tizana was on the bench, so it wasn't him. But he also made 3 tackle busts and 2 line breaks.
To be fair, I did say I thought that the fantasy man of the match was going to come from this game. I just thought it was going to come from the Hurricanes.
And the backup did. Second place was Ray Arcee with 98 points with far fewer points per minute because he played 80 minutes, 1.23. Pretty cool.
To be fair, some of the stats must have been weird this week, though, because I did see on the Blues social media, they put up something of Josh Goodhue, and it said 11 line breaks. It had 4 stats.
That's in his career.
Oh, was that his career, not this week?
No, I mean, I've not seen it. I'm assuming that's in his career.
No, I think it was, no, he didn't obviously make it, but I think it was for this week. They just messed it up.
Mate, you've had 3 strikes. This is it. Say goodbye. Say goodbye.
Enjoy the pod, guys. Something goes down from here.